What's up, everybody? Welcome to your 360 tour of Karnak. Karnak would have been considered the world's largest temple complex if it wasn't for Angkor Wat, which makes Karnak the second largest temple complex in the world. The most expansive in Egypt, that's for certain. We just finished walking through the avenue of ram-headed sphinxes behind me here, which have hidden occult anatomy features and are also taken from a symbolist point of view to be processional, because the ram is a symbol of Amun, who was the main deity that was consecrated here in Thebes and at the temple of Karnak, which was constructed in several phases over a period of there was occupation for over 1,500 years. And the temple is also, from an esoteric point of view, consecrated to the organic principle of creation. It is intricately linked to the Luxor Temple of Man. So we're now going to go through the pylon here, and I will take you into the Hypostyle Hall. Okay, so here we are in the Hypostyle Hall. Hypostyle is an architectural term which basically just means covered over, roofed over hall, as opposed to peristyle, which means open to the sun, like a solar court. So today we have this effect where the sun is beaming down. It's one of the most sought after places in this expansive complex. All tourists tend to linger in this section. It's been noted as a remarkable architectural achievement. But you notice the sun is coming in. That wouldn't have happened to this degree in ancient times because it was a Hypostyle Hall. It would have been roofed over. And so it would have been very dark in here, dark like a swamp. In fact, that's what was happening here. It was all conceptually, thematically emulating the organic vegetation of a swamp. If you look up at the capitals, you can see this is all organic vegetation in stone. And so let me show you where the esoteric number symbolism is encoded in the number of columns and rows here at the Karnak Temple. So this is the central axis that we're coming up to now, and I'm looking up ahead forward at the columns, and if we were to count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. So from the central axis on either side is 6 columns, and then on either side of that you have 7 columns, 2 rows of 7. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a broken one at the end. 2 rows of 7. So we have 2 rows of 6. 6 is the number of time and space. Then on either side we have 2 rows of 7, number of process and cycle. And if we continue through the temple, then we have rows of 9. If we count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the number attributed to the Ennead, the primordial ones at the beginning of time, from where we get the Enneagram, which is, people use the Enneagram. It's an ancient symbol. People use it to, I guess you could say, study different personality or character traits of people. In fact, a lot of CEOs in corporations today use it, none the wiser where its ancient roots actually come from here in Egypt, from the great mystic George Ivanovich Gurdjieff, who also came here to Egypt. Anyway, we have the Pythagorean number mysticism, symbolism, encoded into the columns and the rows. Again, 6, number of time and space, 7, number of process and cycle, 9, number of the Enneagram, or the Ennead rather, in the ancient Egyptian mythology, which was attributed to the beginning of time, the primordial ones. Everything starts with 9. It's a number of completion in a sense, but nothing is ever really complete because every ending is a transition. So 9 accounts for a new beginning. And so it's all appropriate that you would find it here. It can't be any coincidence that you find the esoteric number symbolism encoded in the architecture in this way in a temple that, from the symbolist perspective, is consecrated to the organic principle of creation. Let's move on. So here we are now at the obelisk of Hatshepsut. You can see the other obelisk over here for Tutmosis, the earlier one here. But this one attributed to Hatshepsut, it would have been plated with electrum at the top, which is part gold and part silver. How do we know? Because just over here on the side in hieroglyphs it tells us. It's a bit crowded, but if we walk around, it's on the plinth here. You can see there's a sequence of hieroglyphs and various titles. The Ankh, Mira, Jet, life is given, enduring life is given like Ra for all eternity. So this back here is the Akhmenu, which is the festival hall of Tutmosis. And they say that it was in remembrance of his military campaigns. That is the reason why we find these unusual columns inside. So we are now at what Egyptologists refer to as the Akhmenu. That is the festival hall of Tutmosis, where he celebrated his military campaigns. And they say this because if you look at the columns, they're very unusual. And the Egyptologists tell us that that's because Tutmosis was trying to remember his military campaigns by having these tent poles at their tent poles. I don't think that's the case. I think that they are in fact an expression of the same organic material we see elsewhere, such as in the Hypostyle Hall. It's just done differently, where typically you see this below. Now you have it in inverted capitals so that it forms a phallic shape. So now we have the inseminating principle. Whereas when we go through the Hypostyle Hall, the negative space in between columns forms the phallus, which is the inseminating principle. It's a way of expressing creation out of the void esoterically. But here now it's the opposite physically. So whereas over there we have spirit manifesting into matter, here we're already matter perfecting as the royal principle, as the cosmic consciousness, the cosmic man, the perfected man. And that's what's taking place here in this temple. This is essentially Hypostyle Hall. You have spirit manifesting into matter. Here it's a cycle of matter reconciling, returning to source, expressed in the capitals. We also know that this was the first mystery school, according to the sacred history of the Rosicrucians. This is where Hatshepsut and Tutmosis organized the mystery schools into a single order, along with their viziers and priesthood and so forth. They organized all the various sects into one single order on which the principles are now perpetuated throughout the Western esoteric tradition. Well, I hope you enjoyed this brief esoteric tour of Egypt. And if you're new here, please do consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click the like button. And if you're interested in joining me for an esoteric tour of Egypt, you can head over to adeptexpeditions.com.